A lot of federal funding behind you.
Here we go.
If that's your core federal funding, you got to make a good argument.
We're rolling.
So Eduardo, the comment I would look for you about is something about peer, the power of peers in this process, and then maybe a separate statement about the potential of suicide attempt survivor support groups.
Okay, and the process is the power of peers in this process.
Yeah,
In which process?
In the work of suicide intervention.
Okay. Great.
So one of the things we've done in our task force in Maricopa is engage peers in that process, KDI and others. So I think, if you made a statement about, one of the statements you could make is, that what Magellan has done in including peers in it, I believe that's very important. I serve in whatever, a little bit about what that perspective is and why it's important.
Okay. Do you want me to name Magellan?
Yeah, if you're
right.
willing to do that, that'd be great.
Sure.
And you can just look at me as you
Okay.
talk, he's going to
All
caption kind of a documentary format.
Okay, all right. Well, so do you want to cue me with a question then, or?
Sure. So, Eduardo, tell us a little bit about the perspective of and the importance of peers in the suicide intervention process and approach.
Well, I think it's really the key to making change for reducing suicide overall. Because for many years, suicide intervention, suicide prevention, hasn't really been informed really directly by people who have been there. Nobody can speak to the issues, the sort of the agony, even the decision making that goes on when you're actively suicidal, so much as somebody who's been there and can relate to all that's going on in a non-judgmental way. Only a peer can really provide that kind of support. And and that, I think, that's the sort of magic that will make a difference ultimately.
Wow, that's fabulous. The other question, Eduardo, is there has been some controversy for us around bringing peers together for this explicit purpose of suicide attempt survivor support groups. What do you think about the potential of those and the risks?
Well, I think that there's very little risk, and some of the risk or some of the worry is either based in a lack of information or based in stigma. There has been a kind of a concept for many years that bringing people together to talk about suicide sort of is like way of generating interest in suicide. Well, people don't want to die and people don't want to kill themselves. But the opposite of that is having a place in which there's nobody to talk to and nobody who's willing to listen in a non-judgmental way. So having attempt survivors groups or groups for people who are actively suicidal really, I think, can make a huge difference.
And, Thomas talks about, he calls them places where people can care for one another. So you talked a lot about the risk in that. Tell me about in your mind, the opportunities for people to come in and together and do that non-judgmental support. And what could that look like in the best case scenario?
Well, the essence of peer support, one of the truly miraculous things about peer support is that it flips the helper principle upon itself, so that people who have been kind of disempowered or who have felt like they're in the position of only receiving help never get the sort of benefit of helping others. So peer support helps build people's energy, people's motivation for recovery by enabling them to feel that they're contributing to somebody else. That's something everybody wants. A lot of times mental health consumers in particular have only been in the service recipient role, and that diminishes their human value as contributors.
Perfect. Thank you.